Hello, and welcome to this evening's Mindshare. We'll be talking with Thalia Longchamp today. We'll be discussing the importance of divine partnership. And Thalia is a born empath, a shaman, and intuitive. She has an extensive understanding of the science behind spirituality, and that has been the center of her research for the past 5 years. Through experiencing intense psychic gifts and phenomena as a child, at age 24, she decided to give over her life to the divine order and help people become connected to Source and the Christ consciousness. She has an admiration for psychology and has a certification in cognitive behavior therapy, and her private practice was born from there. It's been her purpose to bring herself and her clients closer to Source and the I Am presence, and dedicating the rest of this life to the journey of marrying the mind and the spirit. It's with our great privilege and great honor that we get to introduce you to Thalia Longchamp.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining in. There is a lot to cover today on the subject of divine partnerships and what that means versus what we think it means and what it definitely does not mean. So I just want to bring some clarity and hopefully some compassion understanding in this specific area. So I'll just jump right in. The importance of divine partnership. So when I say divine partnership, I am not necessarily meaning divinely guided relationships, because any relationship can technically be divinely guided. All relationships are divinely guided. What I mean by divine partnerships is that two human beings are actualized and recognize themselves as an expression of Source and are living their lives in such a way. They are living in integrity. They are living their purpose, and they honor both the divine masculine and the divine feminine within them and within their partner. There is a respect between both. There is giving and receiving of energy on both ends. There is no control. There is not trying to manipulate or deceive. Like, that's what I mean when I say divine partnership. I'm talking about two actualized human beings who are choosing to commit to each other, choosing to be together, and recognize themselves and as an expression of Source, and who are just conscious of that. So what is the divine feminine's role? I am not going to get too much into like the history of Source, but basically the divine feminine and the divine masculine are just words that we use to understand the aspects of polarity, the different aspects of polarity. We live on a planet that is governed by polarity. The universe and Source as is, however, is not governed by those same laws that we experience here on the planet, on Earth. So when we say masculine and feminine, it is really a way for our minds, our human minds, to understand an energy force. So when we say divine feminine and divine masculine, the word divine itself can be interpreted as actualized or as seen as an expression of Source. That's why we say the word divine, because it's no longer taken from, sorry, there's like a fly in my room, which I was not there a moment ago. We are not using the template of the 3D perceptions. We are using the template of the 5D and higher perceptions. And 5D and higher typically means that you have come to understand yourself as a divine being, as an expression of the divine. So, okay, so the divine feminine, we're going to talk about the divine feminine. We're going to get into the divine masculine, their relationship, the Christ stream, the Jesus Christ template, and the Mary Magdalene template. that relationship, the illusion of love, which is very not that complex, and sacred sexuality, and then we'll close it up. And I wrote notes, so I won't get carried away. So, okay, the divine feminine role, breaking through societal codes stored in the DNA regarding oppression, repression, slavery, sexual shame, and voicelessness. So I'll repeat that. One of the divine feminine roles on this planet serving herself and others is breaking societal codes stored in her DNA regarding oppression, repression, slavery, sexual shame, and voicelessness. So throughout history, and I won't get into interdimensional or extraterrestrial. I'll just focus on this planet. Throughout history, the voice and the spirit of the feminine has gone through both a expansive and retractive expression. The planet itself is a feminine creative energy. So by design, the feminine attracts a lot of, it attracts a lot of just natural abuses from the masculine polarity as we know it. Because that is how the earth that is how the earth has been characterized as being at the subject of other forces coming on, taking, and not really honoring the land. And historically as well, and though there are, and that's why I say retractive and expansive, is because there have been times where we have honored the land. There have been times where different civilizations throughout the planet have honored the land. There have been times that women or the feminine were able to have a place within society to connect with nature. And then when Christianity started taking over, that became more of a fear that women unleashed, or women embodying their wild woman nature had association with the devil, which I believe in the pagan religion was characterized from Pan being the nature god, and things took its own life from there. That's a loose interpretation, but yes.
Let me ask you, do you think that we're in an expansive place with the feminine, or are we in a retractive place right now?
It depends on what part of the world you're talking about, because every part of the world has its own consciousness. Clearly the consciousness in Afghanistan is very different from the consciousness in America. And is the consciousness that different in America than it is in Afghanistan? You know, and in what ways is it different? And so that is a very valid question, but it depends from what perspective you're looking at. And I think one of the beautiful things about Source is or God, however you want to address that energy, is that because it is so mysterious, because it is so complex, because it is so layered, and time does not exist to that conglomerate of energy, multiple truths can be taking place at one time for the feminine. So the feminine is not just because America is experiencing something with women, everywhere is experiencing something with women that is on that same frequency. So it really depends to what stream of consciousness you happen to be experiencing in the location that you're experiencing it. I can only relate it to America, and only in the geographical locations within America that I have lived in, because that's inclusive of New York and California, because the consciousness in the Middle West is not the same as it is on the coast, you know? So it really depends on where you are. But as an overarching theme for the divine feminine and the divine masculine, it will most likely look the same. And so I'll speak to that. Right now, in relation to the divine masculine, we are in an expansive state. In the relation to the divine feminine, we are in an expansive state. In the relation to experiencing life on the planet, I would say that we're somewhere in between. I would say that it's somewhere in between, and I'll get into why that is in a little bit. So throughout history, again, oppression from either religion, from mostly religion, religious forces, trying to take away the voice of the divine feminine, trying to take away her expression, the way she expresses herself and her relationship to her body, her relationship to sex, and whether or not she was able to enjoy sex, enjoy her body, and which breeds shame, which breeds guilt. Reclaiming, and so the next point is reclaiming the feminine's inherent magic from her ancestry, from the divine, from her unique and natural gifts that are unique to her, given to her by the divine. There has been such a I can't describe it in a congestion of the stream from the feminine's crown chakra to source, because of the time that we're living in, because we're kind of displaced. We've been desensitized because of social media, our phones, and just having a lot of information to process at once. It kind of takes away a lot of, with the masculine, to a lot of personal power, with focusing your energy on one subject, giving your energy to one subject, finding out the consciousness for what rings true to you for a certain subject, and letting that be the answer, and healing given back to that, what's going on in question. Our experience has been, we're being given 50,000 things at once to process at once, and you're disconnected from your feelings, because how can you go from ecstatic to feeling sad in just a matter of split seconds? And what that does is, especially for the feminine, who is naturally nurturing, who is naturally empathetic, who is naturally psychic, she cannot connect psychic. It's too much information at one time.
You're encompassing all of it, right? Because the feminine is it's formless, right? And so everything gets in there, all thoughts, ideas, past, present, future, all the timelines, right? It kind of lives and grows in there. So it's, I like what I like how you said, it's that we're healing from this. It's almost the divine feminine is like in a place of healing, right? From all the trauma and the oppression, and the divine masculine taking so much, putting oppression on that for so many years. Do you feel like in a place of healing now, and growth and awareness for more people?
Yeah, I definitely do, but there's been a long period of time where the feminine, because of oppression, timelines of slavery, timelines of voicelessness, timelines of witch hunting,
yeah, religion.
Timelines of persecution, on the basis of doing what is natural, is a woman connecting with mother nature, and having that be associated with being evil, and being of the devil, and being paganism, demonic in spirit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was just having this crazy conversation with Jason, and we were discussing how I was just telling him how when I started to become awakened, I started to think about the mother, father, God. I started to really come in connection with my divine feminine and masculine. And I started to realize that there's no mention of the divine feminine in the Bible anywhere. And they've all we do is pray, and when you go to church and you go to Christian church, you pray to a Father God only. And so, talk about some point in time had omitted.
Yeah.
What's that, Jason?
Some of them are like at a lowly position if mentioned, usually, and everything else is taken out of script or.
Yeah.
So it's just like part of that oppression that we see, and that has been like so culturally accepted and spread. and that it's such a, it was just amazing for me to have that realization. I was like, whoa, they've taken
Yeah,
it out of the entire teaching, and how, and yeah, you know, how divine the goddess is. It's and amazing that we've gone for this long without celebrating it as much as we need to, right?
100%. And it's that trauma, that remembering of those timelines, um, that holds the feminine back, that holds
Mhm.
back expression.
A lot of healers
Um,
say that stuff, right? They talk about, like, a lot of healers are afraid to come out with their healing modalities, or their kind of or their message, or their, you know, their truth, because of those past timelines, perhaps, you know, where they
oh,
might have lived in this place of fear. They literally got burned for on the stake in a
oh
past
yeah.
life for knowing how to, you know, harness and alchemize, you know, a ceremony, you know, whatever it is, something as simple as that, right?
Oh, totally. 100%. And those are really strong points. Those are really beautiful and strong points, and it gets missed a lot. Um, I'll go, because I do want to get into the divine masculine, because that is important. So
Please
I'll
do.
just go over these. I'll go over these quickly. Compassion for self, exercising compassion, learning compassion for self. I'm sorry, exercising compassion for self, owning sexuality while honoring her body as a sacred vessel that should be viewed and treated as such by herself and others, setting healthy boundaries for herself and others, understanding and learning how to traverse the underworld and subconscious mind. This is huge. This is beyond huge. And it is huge because it relates to the masculine when she does connect with the twin flame. The divine feminine 100% needs to understand her own subconscious mind and her own shadow and her own demons before she even has a chance to process what she will experience with the divine masculine. Oftentimes you're dealing with both yours and your masculines, and the masculine of the collective, the masculine collective, and those three are simultaneously happening all the time, especially after you awaken. You're always dealing with your own demons, the demons of the world and the demons of your twin. Um, um, this is a rite of passage, depending on the trajectory of your own spirit. This goes for whether you're the masculine or the feminine. It will depend on how severe your experience of the underworld and of demonic entities will be. But it is a rite of passage to come in contact with, enter as a 0 points of polarity, where all polarity collapses around you, and you're dealing with angelic beings, demonic beings, interdimensional, extraterrestrial. You're just dealing with all of it and learning how to not just feel what is not divine and not sovereign in order to know what is divine and sovereign, is the rite of passage for the divine feminine, especially in this lifetime.
Yeah, we have to
Learning
go
how
through
to
that.
channel. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, we have to go through that journey ourselves. We're it's part of our lesson, right? To discover for ourselves and discern, like learning that discernment between your shadow side and your light side, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It is truly, it is the most important journey. It is the premise of any hero's journey movie ever. um, um,
Right? Yeah.
I mean, there's no other premise. I mean, Harry Potter, literally the premise. So, channeling and learning to listen to spirit and holding light for herself and others. So those are the roles of the divine feminine. Divine masculine role, breaking through societal codes regarding suppressing his emotions, learning not to lead with ego, understanding his need for control over others and overcoming that, understanding his wants and need, his understanding the want to possess the feminine and overcoming that, overcoming dominion, wanting dominion over others, and learning to control sexual energy. The masculine in his highest state is such a warrior for the feminine. In his state, he is at war with the feminine. So because no one will trigger the masculine the way the feminine does. There's not, and if you want to get more specific than that, no one will trigger you the way your twin flame triggers you. There's just not a being on the planet that has that capacity and they are your soul. And I'll get more into twin flame specifically in a little bit, but they are your soul. And there's nothing that outside of your soul and what your soul has gone through lifetimes that has that power outside of God and probably Christ. So and you wouldn't want anyone else to have that capacity other than your twin flame, because whatever lessons you would gain, because they are also your greatest teacher, would completely be missed. It would just be ego that you're dealing with. There would be no spiritual gain whatsoever. If you were being triggered on the level that your twin flame triggers you from someone who is not your twin flame, you would probably end up in prison. So the love really saves you, and the other person.
I love that. I always call it like the sharpest mirror that you've ever come across. Like it will cut you to the touch, right? That's the closest, most intimate thing. It's you in reverse, basically. You see right through each other, right? So it's like that connection, and that's the sharpest mirror ever is kind of similar, but like what my version of what you're elegantly saying. But
oh no, that's beautiful. I love that. The sharpest mirror ever. That's poetic. Like that's exactly it, you know. Holding space for the emotions of the feminine without judgment. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I think something that's very simple for the divine masculine to do, or to learn how to do, is it's such a simple thing, but a lot of 3D, third dimensional perspectives just miss this, is if the feminine is having an experience, especially an emotional experience, and is bringing that energy to the masculine to share, what men try to do, and these energies are genderless, but I'm just, for the sake of conversation, what men try to do is they try to fix. They listen to fix. That is what they're hardwired to do. They want to identify the problem and then fix the problem. The divine masculine is not just a man. He is the divine masculine, and he may also be a man, but he has to transcend his mind. Everyone has to transcend their mind, and it doesn't mean abandoning your mind. It just means understanding that your mind serves a purpose that is not what your consciousness serves. It is not what your soul serves. Your soul has a specific purpose. Your consciousness and your soul have a purpose that your mind does not serve. When you are dealing with the divine feminine, you are supposed to be tapping into your heart space and into your soul and into your consciousness and take in what she is saying. You have to listen, not listen to fix. You're listening to listen and to see her transition from point A to point B and reach her conclusion at point C, and then hold space for her through that and invite whether or not she wants what you feel like you want to offer her, and ask, and even before that, ask what she needs in that moment. Even before you put what you think she needs, ask her what she needs. So that is the difference between being conscious and being in your ego. That's the difference between being conscious and doing what you think a man should do. And being conscious is just that extra step of tapping into your body and of tapping into your heart space, and letting your consciousness, which precedes your mind, filter information to you. And I hope that makes sense.
It makes a beautiful sense. You spoke it so eloquently, and I love that. You mentioned some really some buzzwords really caught up to me, and when you were talking about the divine masculine, and that's like controlling, judgmental, And I feel like we're in this place of healing for the masculine with the healing of the mind, right?
Right.
We need to remove, I learned this from an angel book, and I love this. I tell everyone that I can, if you to gain control over your mind, you must get rid of wanting, judging, comparing, and of course I'm going to forget the fourth one right on the Mindshare. Wanting, comparing, judging, and well, I forgot the fourth one. I'm sorry.
Those are good ones.
Those are all good ones, but you mentioned those in the kind of the thing. And so when we remove those, our mind is able to open up and allow the source energy to reach our heart, right? And to allow us to have that better listening. I can't tell you how many times my wife's told me just to not try to fix it, just listen to what I have to say. She's gonna laugh when she
totally. Shannon's got it going on. Shannon knows what she's talking about.
I think many men can resonate with that, and it's so true, right? We really just need to listen and to be there, to hold space from our heart, and to not try to expect or know what to give that person, but to ask, right? And that's such a beautiful way that you set it up. I love that.
Totally. And it's a practice. It's really practice, and it's trial and error. Again, I say hardwired because it's hardwired. It's biological for men. And I'm not trying to say bypass your hardwiring or anything. I'm saying understand that it serves a function, but there are other aspects to you that also serve a function, that those aspects are going to be more fruitful for the feminine to receive, and not always just the fix it attitude or the fixed hardwiring.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's kind of like a ultra aware boost to everything you're doing in life. So it's like boosting your feminine awareness is a correct masculine, right? So it's like we're able to heighten all of our senses plus understand them better to understand ourselves better, right?
Totally.
Better decisions.
Yeah.
And then it's like an unsaid communication as you get going, and the respect's all meshing at the same time. So it's like I feel like ultra aware. It is unisex, but it's like it is the feminine heart connection space, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
And we hold both masculine and feminine energies inside our own body too, right? Like we are all balancing the masculine and the feminine within us. And in fact, I feel like it's almost necessary for us to do so in order to be compatible with that twin flame at some point, right? Like,
you have to.
You have to be able to have activated yourself, gone through those initiations we were talking about, that kind of, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm sure many people have had this experience when they meet their twin flame. If they're not ready, it's like a magnet opposite attracting. It's like, bam, you just like don't work, or it's too heavy, or it's too hard. And that's you're not balanced, right?
Yeah. It's and literally like
a lot of humble pie.
It's a lot of humble pie. We're gonna get into the relationship, and then so learning commitment. If there's nothing else that I ever say, commitment. And it does not just mean romantic partnerships, but yes, guys listening, romantic partnerships, yes, but also honoring your commitments in your life. And that's going to lead into leadership, having a strong leadership role in your life, whatever that means to you. It could be on a small level, it could be on a big level. Relationship with source, building, creating stability for yourself and the feminine, having a sense of purpose. But back to the big word, commitment. Being, whether you're a man or identify as a divine masculine, commitment is beyond primal. You have to learn to commit to something. It does not make sense within your genetic makeup to not be able to commit. If you find yourself unable to commit to a job, to education, learning something, a relationship with yourself, your decision making, you have to look at that, because that is indicative of further wounding, and you need to look at that. Obviously, this is not a one-on-one session, so I cannot tell you what that wounding is, but you have to understand what it means to commit. And then you have to find areas, at least one in your life, where you can express commitment. You have to be able to practice commitment. You cannot have an abundant life without being able to commit to being on time, to providing for yourself, to providing for another person, a family. You need to commit. You need to learn how to commit. And yes, eventually that is going to look like, if you want a working, healthy relationship with someone, then you have to learn how to commit to that relationship. Otherwise, do not be in a relationship. It is just so lazy, and just so, it doesn't make sense that for the consciousness that we are able to have in 2021 in America, for people who are calling themselves enlightened, for people who are calling themselves spiritual, to use spirituality and enlightenment as a reason to say that you're just too free-spirited to commit to a relationship. It literally does not make sense. The reason for existence on this planet is relationships in any form. You have to learn how to commit to them. You have to, otherwise, especially and specifically for romantic relationships, if you cannot or do not want to commit to a relationship, do not bring another energy into your experience, making them think you're committing to them, or not be able to commit to them and they're expecting you to do that. Just be single. Thank you for my TED Talk. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Preach. Oh, that was so beautifully said. It's all about commitment.
Yeah,
it is, because it's the share of energy. It's if it's even if it was a simple business transaction, it's the share of energy that you commit to that makes your word stable, that makes your energy stable, and you're sharing that energy with somebody else. You're sharing it. You can't. There's so much fear around commitment too, especially from the masculine, right? And that's societal, it's cultural. I'm gonna hook up with one girl, all that kind of low vibrational energies, right? That stop people. And I can speak from personal experience too, that stopped me in the past from committing because of fear over losing or sacrificing my freedom, or those things are things that I had to go through, and I think that every man has to go through in their journey.
Everyone does.
Everybody does.
Yeah, women do too.
Recognize fear.
Yeah, women do too. But at a certain point, if that is something that you desire, a relationship with yourself, with others that are going to be, and with the world that's going to be healthy, and to think you don't have to commit to anything is delusional. A certain point you wake up and it's then your free will is activated. Then it's like, oh, I have choices. And if you're going to continue to make the same choices that you've made prior to waking up, then you can't blame anyone else for the results that you're getting in your life. But if you make choices to overcome and to break through and to enrich your spirit and to expand, of course, it's not going to be easy to go from one way of thinking to another, but that at least starts the alchemization, that at least starts the process of changed behavior, because we all have to start somewhere. No one is born just knowing how to be psychic or knowing how to be an empath or being a spiritual guru. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? You have to go through initiation. You have to know darkness in order to be able to hold light. So I am
feel the darkness. You have to experience the darkness in order to understand what the light is needed for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I am no way trying to demonize anyone, but I am saying you can't expect to have a garden and not be willing to commit to planting seeds and be willing to commit to the process of growing a garden. You don't just wake up one day and have a garden. You actually have to get out there and tend to the garden. Now, the relationship between the divine feminine and the divine masculine.
Mother, father,
God. The twin flame relationship. I don't think I have time, just based off of my notes, to talk about soul matrices. Is fine, because Soulmates are soulmates. We're here to talk about the big leagues.
Just quick too, I wanted to just mention to everyone on the call, if you want to ask Thalia a question, we're going to be opening up for QA in like 10 minutes or so. If you want to, there's a little raise hand button. If you want to ask a question, just wanted to bring that out for you. In case
cool.
You can also type it out if you'd like in the chat, either way.
Cool, and I'm almost done too, so this is perfect.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, we'll just keep going. So the relationship. So I'm just going to break this down real quick because I do want to get to a lot. Okay, so the feminine triggers the masculine to become his highest self and align with his truth. The masculine triggers the feminine to become embodied and multidimensional, a goddess. The masculine triggers the feminine to become more independent. The feminine triggers the masculine to seek her energy and spirit. Their energy in union alchemizes people around them and alchemizes the planets and aids in the ascension of the planet. Their energy is a portal for higher codes to come to Earth, raising the frequency of the planet. They're achieving harmony with the other, releasing the need to control the other. Your mission is you. So here's the thing about twin flames, and this is really simple and complex all at the same time. Your twin flame is you. They are you. You are them. It is one soul, and that soul has incarnated into two bodies. You cannot be separate from your twin flame because they are you. They are your soul. It is one soul. There is no such thing as separation from your twin flame. Again, they are your soul. What you are experiencing, because if you're experiencing what is called the runner-chaser dynamic, if you're experiencing a lot of intense phenomena, whether they be dreams, visions, feeling taking on their emotions, having psychic attacks, having psychic downloads from what they're going through, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These are all nuance, and it's going to be specific to you and your journey. I cannot speak to everyone's specific nuance phenomena. So what I will say, these are nuance, and they are basically just there to show you that, yeah, there's shit going on that you cannot really perceive with your mind. The whole point of these synchronicities, these dreams, these visions, these sensations, the sex we'll get to in a bit. But the whole point is to overstimulate your nervous system. Your nervous system has to be overstimulated, and it has to be overstimulated because by this point that you've already met your twin flame, your soul has been awakened. Your soul has had a catalyst now to awaken. Your nervous system is trying to alchemize and meet your soul at a point. Because if you fry, that's not going to serve you. That's not going to serve anyone. And it may seem like you're taking on too much. It may seem like you can't handle it, but you are never going to be given anything that you did not either ask for before incarnating or that you cannot handle. It just seems like that because the human experience, as we have known it, does not understand what the twin flame experience is. Your mind cannot perceive the twin flame experience. Your mind cannot understand the twin flame experience. Your mind is not meant to understand the twin flame experience. It is about the soul. Yeah. So when people get frustrated about the concept of separation, well, I am physically separated. They are blocking me. They are running from me. What is more real to you? And this is what I brought up to Jesse. What is more real for you? At a certain point, yes, in the beginning phases of the twin flame relationship, it is going to be devastating because all you know is if they are doing X, Y, and Z, it must mean A, B, and C. When it comes to spiritually based relationships, your mind cannot and will not, your mind is not meant to understand things of the spiritual realm or nature. Once you get to a certain point, your mind starts to see synchronicities and see the twin flame experience and not try so hard to understand it. And that is part of your awakening journey when your mind starts to surrender. And that's why the word surrender comes so much into play within the twin flame dynamic, is because that is what they want your ego and your mind to do. They want your ego and your mind to do is just surrender, because your mind is not meant for that. And I hope that when I say that, to understand. So twin flames are one soul, and union literally means when you are focused on your soul, you, and your experience, you, and fulfilling your purpose, you, balancing and harmonizing your divine masculine, divine feminine energies within you. I didn't say anything about them. I said you. So it is about your experience. It is about your understanding of love. It is about you cultivating healthy relationships within yourself and others, creating a life for yourself that is the life that you and God want you to live. It is about you. That is union with your twin flame, because they are you. So it does not really matter if they are in your life and for how long, or if they're not in your life for how long. What matters is if you feel like you're in union with yourself. And if you feel like you're in union with yourself, that means you're in union with your twin flame. What it physically looks like does not matter, because you're not supposed to know what they're, it's not that you're not supposed to know what they're doing. You're not God. You're an expression of God. You're not God. You don't know what he's trying to do with them and the lives that he's trying to touch with them. You don't know yet, because you are not dead, the lives that you're meant to touch with you on your individual journey. So it does not make sense for you after a certain point to long and crave and obsess over this other person. If you're about your mission, and if you're about your purpose on this planet, exactly, that means the elevation and ascension of all people, which means the lives that your twin flames physical bodies are going to touch, which means you're at peace knowing that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is what you should be focused on. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So that is the twin flame.
Wonderfully.
Do you guys have any questions or comments?
Taking your sovereignty, but also taking responsibility with it, and
yes,
doing something with it with a mission. Make sure you're on a mission, right? Is the key. Make sure you're on some type of mission, a higher mission. Why are you doing what you're doing with yourself? I love that.
Right. Absolutely.
You can't be truly sovereign and not have a mission, because then you're not sovereign. You're sovereign for a reason, because you're on a mission to do something. Otherwise, you'll float and not do anything as far as your higher calling, right? And stop seeking. So yeah, I love that.
And when you're in union with yourself too, you're also attracting what you desire. You're in the center way, right? When we're balancing our own feminine and masculine, we're moving from our heart space, from the center, that 0 point you were talking about, right? And that is where all creation happens. That's where we get to, like, literally right now is a really interesting time with the energy. The dualities are kind of collapsing, it almost feels like, and we're able to live this middle way, like in the present moment, like right now.
Absolutely.
Like when we talk, we say everything in divine time, right? Because our minds can't comprehend it, and we're in this dimension, we're not able to comprehend it, what's happening on the other side of that quantum reality, or that quantum realm.
Right.
So, but we are finding that when being in union with ourselves, our divine and feminine, we're able to walk this middle way, right? We're able to take the heart-centered path. And when you're in that heart-centered path, as you start to attract everything that you desire. You start to create your reality in manifestation and instance. And I feel like, and when you get together with your twin flame, I can speak from experience that I'm so blessed in my life to have met my twin flame. And she's activated me in that sharp mirror, Jason. It's the hardest lessons I've ever learned, and the best ones, right? And so it's
your soul mirror.
Your soul mirror, right? Yeah, the deepest, hardest lessons that you never thought you'd have to deal with. You end up they end up getting uncovered in a relationship with a twin flame, you know?
Absolutely. They're your
And
greatest teacher.
yeah,
They're your greatest,
That's the true
your
growth.
your brightest heaven and your deepest hell. They're all of it. They're the everythingness and nothingness. And that is God, right? It is
God. Yeah.
what is the universe. It's everything and also nothing. And that is the twin flame. And when we talk about Christ, and I'll just talk about this for 30 seconds because I know we're running out of time. When we talk about Jesus Christ and we talk about Mary Magdalene, they are the ultimate pillars of the divine feminine, divine masculine, in my book, expression. Jesus came here to interpret the Christ consciousness for the planet, which is a message of love, which is a message of what love actually is. And what love actually is taking another as yourself. And they do the same for you. And when he did not judge Mary Magdalene for being a prostitute, that's what they say, but okay. He left her the church, but okay. When he did not judge her for whatever she was being judged for, when he had that availability for her, and when she was able to live her divine mission through him, through them activating each other, that is pure, that is divine, that is what we're talking about. That's it is music. Polar opposite lifestyles, polar opposite in every way. And why would God choose someone who is going to be perceived as a prostitute for his son? Why? It's a message of love. It's a message of taking everyone as yourself, because you never know. And that's what I want to leave everyone with today, is that is what love is. What it isn't is it should be very obvious. It is not possession, it is not control, it is not having power over another one. Another one is not a manipulation, it is not lying, it is not cheating, it is not backstabbing, it is not cruel, it is not jealous. It flows, and it's taking another's best interests as your best interests.
Amen.
Amen, sister. Thank you so much for what you're bringing in
today.
I wanted to, so everyone, Thalia has some offerings on our website. So I just wanted, if you could just talk us through those quick, Thalia. You have a one-on-one, and
yes, I have one-on-one sessions that are combined cognitive behavioral therapy and shamanic Reiki, which we can either do. Oh, we can actually do them via Zoom, because I think that would be best for everyone. So via Zoom, we can do that. And I think the price you agreed on was $133. What's the price? For $133, or you can get a package of 5 sessions. I also have Oracle card readings for $11. And you can watch this on replay as well. So just reach out to me and we'll set you up.
Yay. And Thalia is going to be at the next retreat, giving another workshop as well.
Yes.
And I asked her what the workshop would be, and she said that we have to let Spirit tell us before the event, right? Because
it's a surprise to me too, guys.
You
I love that.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be good.
That. So yeah, the next retreat is happening October 15th to the 17th in Julian, California. So the tickets are on sale now, and you can find Thalia there. And please take advantage of, she's given a discounted rate for her services. And so please, spend some time with Thalia. She's obviously very amazing and well-spoken. So
thank you.
We are so honored to have you here today.
She is definitely.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and platform. I love what I do so much, and I love just whatever I'm supposed to be doing. I hope that I'm doing it, and I hope it registers for anyone who's watching just even a little bit. So thank you so much, you guys, for listening, tuning in, and providing me with this opportunity.
Of course, it's our greatest honor, and we Spectrum Heroes here. We're just here to every heart and every mind, and we wanted to send you all up tonight with all the love and all the grace, and may you go about your evening feeling enlightened and full. Thank you all so much for your time.
And pray for Afghanistan. Pray for the women and children and men who are fearing their lives in Afghanistan, please. Thank you. And Haiti.
What you want to see and be.
Yes. You guys all put your hands up.
Haiti for
Haiti as well. Love, 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 all over the world.
All over the world.
See you guys.
Thank you guys.
See you guys. Thank you so much.